Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast. Today, I am merely acting as host. We are at 1905 Bar and Grill inside the Cambria of the Imperial Valley, the only Cambria in the Imperial Valley.
Yep.
It's arguably maybe the best hotel in the Imperial Valley, but, whatever. We're a little biased. Today, we are sitting with Executive Chef Juan Mora, and we actually thought it would be a good idea today for y'all to kind of just get to know Chef, the man behind the kitchen, behind the knife. Chef, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of tell us a little bit about, where you're from and how you, why cooking? Why being a chef?
Yeah, I'm from Calexico. I was actually born in Brawley, but I've always been here in the valley. I grew up in Calexico and Mexicali, and we had a lot of family down there, just like many of us down here in Imperial Valley. And cooking was something just very native to me. In regards to cooking, I can't really know when it started. The first memories of cooking for me were, I guess we always had free range of the kitchen, fire. My parents never really limited us. I remember at a young age, I would cook my own eggs, which I thought now in retrospect is weird. But back then, even hanging out around my grandmother's house, we had full range of the kitchen. We could literally just pick up a pan, turn on the stove, and cook whatever we wanted. So, and then maybe there was a shift in my teenage years where I really started to appreciate food. And it was more like new flavors. And I understood that at a very young age that there were more than just the local cuisine. It wasn't just tacos. It wasn't just fast food restaurants. I knew there was more out there. And I think it was just because my parents, we traveled a lot as kids, and in the summers we had our summer vacations or whatnot. However, I think that just amplified my vision of what food was and exposed us to different cuisines, even if it was just in the Southwest.
How many, can you just tell people, how many siblings do you have? Because even I am still not clear on that.
Oh, yeah. So I have 3 younger brothers. It's Tony, Omar, and Jose. Right,
okay.
But we call him Morita, which is small blueberry, because my last name. Yeah. So I have 3 younger brothers, and we're pretty tight in age. So we're very close, actually. And
are you the oldest or the youngest?
I am the oldest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was very awkward growing up. It wasn't awkward. Awkward wasn't. It's not the word, but you could feel the stare. Because it's unusual for,
The stare.
Yeah, because, it's very unusual when nowadays having, 4 kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
so, and this was
4.
even, 30 years ago, right? But you could always feel oh, there goes, the family of 6,
Yeah.
And, we had to have a bigger car. Or we had to have a bigger house. Yeah, so, but you know what what was cool, and actually they're a guest here, and their last name's Calles, and they were also 4 brothers. And it was funny because, we would, and we're similar in ages, so we would all hang out, and our parents became friends. But it was you always ended up hanging out with, families of the same size.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, nothing in regards to cooking, but yeah, going back to my brothers, so I have 3 younger brothers. I'm the oldest, and then obviously mom and dad. But let's see. Yeah, we all cook, actually. My brothers are great at cooking. I think it comes down to that. We could just get into the kitchen and stuff. We all have our own niche. One of my brothers, he does more. He smokes meats a lot, and then he also does a lot of seafood. And then my other brothers, they're generic, but they could definitely defend themselves in the kitchen. They could pretty much cook anything. But even family parties and stuff will kind of come in and out of the kitchen as we go. My dad, he cooks, but not really. And then my mom.
Well, why when all 4 of you could do it?
Exactly. Yeah. He just lays back and drinks beer. What dads do.
Dream life.
Yeah. But yeah, it's we were just never. And maybe it was because we're all boys, and we just just do boys do their own things, and then when we would do barbecue in the weekends, my parents had no problem with us like jumping on the grill and turning the meat. Not necessarily, we didn't necessarily know what we were doing, but
Right.
I mean, we were there. We were exposed to it.
Yeah, it's like the familiarity. Do you feel like that is something that a lot of people should do with their kids?
Yeah.
Like, I know you want to do it with your son.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. It's something that unfortunately most kids nowadays aren't exposed to. But it's surprising to see when we did, for example, we went to like the elementaries and we started asking kids like, hey, what do you like? You know? And I feel like there's been a shift for sure. But the more they're exposed to like cooking and a knife and, you know, having a sharp object isn't necessarily dangerous as long as you have control, right? And then you're in a safe environment, then no problem, right? Like I wouldn't have a problem with my son having a knife at the appropriate age.
Well, and you're also not just going to walk away and be like, good luck, have fun.
Yeah. But also like just being exposed to like what a tomato smells like, and it's like just being, you know, what an apple, like unpackaged apple, just, you know, it doesn't have to come in slices at McDonald's or whatever, like just a apple from the tree. Like it's unfortunate most kids nowadays don't have that opportunity to go and pick up a fruit and be like, okay, this is what it's supposed to taste like. It's like unprocessed, but I think in general, the more you're exposed to cooking and the more you're exposed to food, and you'll be naturally exposed to like different cultures and more open to different cuisines, and then also to what you eat, right? Because I mean, a lot of people nowadays are very restricted in their diets, and doesn't necessarily need to be. It's not any allergies or dietary restrictions. It's just that they just don't have the palate for. Right. Like we've spoken about here, like a medium rare steak. Right. Like
it freaks people out.
It freaks people out. Right. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know why, but there's nothing wrong about it. But it's also, it comes down to culture. You know, we were raised a certain way with food, and we want to continue like a lot of that culture, but at the same time we haven't been open to other food cultures,
right?
You know?
Well, and there's a lot of components that go to that, because like you were born in Brawley, but you're from Calexico. I was born in Vietnam, but I was raised in Brawley, and it's kind of like that lack of, you know, it is burritos, or we've got burgers, or, you know, we do live in a food desert. For people who don't know, the Imperial Valley is a food desert. So it's like McDonald's, Carl's Jr., whatever, fast food. And that is part of the issue, is that because of the economy here, people don't get to travel outside. They don't get to go try a bunch of different places. You know, I know a lot of kids, like, I used to work in a school, and only through the school at like 6th grade could they go to Disneyland, and that was like the first time they left the valley. So is there anything about specifically the area where we grew up that made you want to come back, because you left for a long time? Like, why here? Why come back?
Family. You know, it comes down to family and what's best for the family. It's great, don't get me wrong. I miss Los Angeles, I miss San Diego, I miss being out there, but there's something about coming back to your roots and just being closer to family, and just having, you know, that community, that network of support, right? So now with Oliver, my son, he's surrounded by grandma and grandpa, and on both sides of the family, and also cousins and stuff, you know? And one thing that I didn't realize, I mean, I've been back for 1.5 years officially. However, before that, it was very odd for me to be driving through the valley and it was like, oh, there goes my cousin. Oh, there goes my friend. You know, like, or just randomly running into people that I've grown up with. Because regardless, even if I left, I would always come back, like at least every 2 months, and visit my family, like I said, my brothers. And so my best friends from high school are still my best friends to this day. So it was just nice to be walking like down the street and be like, okay, you know, there's that friend and that friend. Just seeing familiar faces, which is something you don't really get in Los Angeles, right? But I think also it's a way of like reconnecting. And for some reason, if we want to look at it from a different point of view, like life always brought me back to the Valley.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take the pandemic, for example. LA got shut down completely. It was a ghost town there. Right. And I was like, most of my friends left from Los Angeles to wherever they were originally from because no one wanted to be in Los Angeles because it was so restricted.
Right.
So I came back to the Valley, right? So that was the reason. And I was here for like 13, 14 months. So that was another stint. And then even when I came back from Europe originally, like I ended back in the Valley. So there was always a reason to come back. And I think it's like, it puts a lot of things into perspective when you mature a little bit, and then you're okay. What do I want to do with my life? But also, I think it takes me to two different things. We had a really bad car accident in 2022 that really put life into perspective. And the one thing I can take away from that, without diving too deep, is like if I would have lost my life in that accident, I would have been really disappointed in myself, right? Because I didn't feel like I hadn't done what I had to do, right? In all aspects of life. So it was a harsh hit. But then also when I went to Spain and I was super naive in the sense that I thought that the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
And if I went to a 3-star Michelin rated restaurant, the best in the world, everything was going to be perfect. Then I realized that it wasn't. It really wasn't.
Yeah.
It was still a regular restaurant.
No matter where you go.
No matter where I
like
go,
that,
yeah. And then with the Roca Brothers, you also learn a lot from them because they're very family driven.
Cool.
Yeah, so the 3 brothers and then how they incorporate mom and dad into it. So it's a whole family affair. And that really got me thinking, okay, if they can do this at top tier level, right? What stops me from having just a restaurant here in the Imperial Valley? Right? Nothing. And I can build. I can build. Yeah, I can build. It's just me, right? So it doesn't matter where I am in the world. I can always build whatever I want. So, and also, I think the third and most, like, it's not about me. Like, I thought, cooking and going through the ranks, it was all about me. And I was able to emphasize and hyper-emphasize on what I wanted to be and what I wanted to cook and what chef I was working for. And it was all about me, 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 me. And now it's like, no, it's not about me. It's about everyone else. Right? It's about the guest that's coming into your dining room and how you put that into perspective. And how ultimately what you put on the plate. And if guests aren't coming to your dining room, then what are you doing, right? And you can serve whatever you want at some point, but what resembles, and we can dive deep more into like 1905 and how all that started, but that's why I think Imperial Valley I think there's a huge opportunity here, and there's a lot of talent that we found that I didn't even realize was here. And I'm very proud of the team that hopefully you guys get to meet. But
our team is amazing.
Yeah,
guys. It's insane.
We drive each other crazy at a certain point in time, but also it's like we have so much fun. You know, like
you have to.
Yeah, you have to, and it's
a high stress environment.
Extremely high stress, like even sitting here, it's like us decompressing in a way because we don't really get to talk about these things. We're just going 120 miles an hour. And it's hard for the community to understand how fast we're going and the changes that we're trying to do and how we're trying to adapt to Imperial Valley. Right? Because it's all about them. Like, we want to be here for them. We're trying to adapt every dish, every social media content, everything. It's about them,
for
right?
Sure.
So yeah, we can also dive into this really quick. I found out 2 things. That a lot of the produce was coming from Imperial Valley, right? Like, and that's just like basic Google research. One of the things that stood out, it was like asparagus. Like, I would find asparagus with like Calexico, California, and Spain.
There was a couple of times when we were in Costa Mesa that I got a salad and it was like the produce from this came from Brawley, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And you see a lot of that in the world, and as you travel, you're like, oh, that comes from home. That comes from home, right? So it makes you wonder, like, we're right here. We have all the staple crops and the specialty crops. Like, why not just cook with all this instead of being in San Diego or Los Angeles and still getting the same produce. Like,
Right.
just get it from here. But the other thing that I noticed when I was in Spain, I would go to like a lot of like fine dining restaurants or just like upscale restaurants, and the beef would be like from Brawley, California.
Yeah.
And it was like Brant beef, you know? So it was like, wow, like all the like, I'm coming from that small town that nobody knows, and here I am at a high-end restaurant, and it's coming from home. So it was a way to reconnect, and then slowly but surely we're trying to explore those avenues and into our menu. But it's amazing to see how much of an impact we have on the... There's a cricket right next to her.
Crickets are lucky. I'm Asian. This is totally fine, but
Can
I hate
flick
bugs.
it?
Okay, so Chef, we mentioned briefly, like you've mentioned a couple times how you like went to Spain and you were in Europe and you've been in LA and whatever. So like I've heard this story because we did the cooking class, but I would love if you would tell us how you got your job in Spain.
Yeah. So it was always a huge objective of mine. It was a dream. As I joined culinary school, I always said, you know, at some point I'm going to move to France. At that point, it was France. You know, I was going to go to Paris and cook out there, and it was like a lifelong dream. And I tried and I tried. It was very early in my career. I didn't really know where I was going at the time, but I knew that at some point I was going to end there, right? And then. Let's see, a couple years into my career, I started working for W San Diego, which was part of Starwood Hotels at the time, later Marriott. And there, a couple of F&B managers were Spanish, right there. And I became good friends with them, and it was one of those things where we just connected. I think it's mostly because of the Hispanic culture, and we just had a lot of things in common. Until this day, Jose Blanco is one of my very, 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 very good friends. And what that did, it introduced me to like Spanish culture. And as we moved up the ranks and he relocated, I relocated, we would still connect at some point in time somewhere around the world. So at that point, it was Spain. So I would go visit him in Spain. He would come to Mexico. He would come to Mexicali. So yada, yada, yada. And I relocated to Scottsdale, Arizona, and it runs in seasons, right? So during the summer, it's dead, and we accumulate enough PTO to be able to take 2, 3, 4 weeks off, right? And during the summers, I'd just go to Spain. I'd go visit Jose Blanco or some of my other friends out there. So I already had in my mind that at some point I wanted to move out there to Europe, but I didn't really have the opportunity. So I started looking for opportunities out there as I went. And this took me years, like years. The visa process isn't very easy. It's not what people think. It's like getting a green card here in the United States. It's extremely hard. And obviously with limited resources, it's even harder, right?
The only reason why I know how hard it is because I watch a lot of 90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah.
So it is a very complicated process, and people think that you can just kind of decide to leave and then you leave.
No. It's definitely not like that. There's people that do it, right? But you'd be working under the table, getting paid cash, and it can get pretty sketchy. You can work long hours. They pay you whatever they want, you know?
So in the process of how long and how hard that was, did you ever go like, maybe this is so hard, I shouldn't even do this? Like, did that ever kind of shake your resolve to go, or was it just kind of part of the thing that you had to do?
No, it was just part of a thing that I had to do. It was always an objective of mine. And I think it was also driven back to what I said earlier. The grass is greener out there. They know how to cook even better, you know? And here you have a California kid that that understood cuisine at some level, that understood the fundamentals of technique, but I didn't have, I have some Michelin experience in LA, but it was different. It definitely wasn't au bouillie or like molecular gastronomy.
Right.
Like it was refined French technique, Cali French at that time. But when I would what I was looking and dining at these restaurants, I would realize like, wow, how'd they get here? And, you know, what were they doing here? So I was really like breaking everything down, and it was driven by that. I just wanted to learn, dissect, and compare. Okay. Let's see. So that took me, where were we? Let's see, 2017, 2018. Okay. So at some point, let's see, it must have been 2012. I was in Spain, like I said, for a month, and I was going through three-star Michelin-rated restaurants, the best in the world. By this time, I probably emailed them with my resume and stuff, but I was like, I'm already over here. Like, I'm going to go to the best restaurants in the world and drop off a resume. And I did. I went to Osteria Francescana. I went with the Roca Brothers, and I mean, you name it. I was there, right? Paul Bocuse, I was also in Lyon. So I was trying to look for a job while I was on vacation. Essentially, that's what I was doing, right? And at the same time, I was dining. Okay, so I would save up all my money, and I would essentially go what I would call like Anthony Bourdain trips, right? On my own, right? And this was just spearheaded by myself, nobody, because I was traveling solo. And there was a trip where I took with my parents, but I think out of the 4 trips I took to Europe, 3 of them were solo. And
you were on a whole eat, pray, find a job.
Oh yeah. I was driven. Yeah. And some people would get back to me, but the problem again was the visa. Okay.
Yeah.
So there was, let's see, it was probably 2016. Yeah, 2016. I remember I was in Barcelona. I went on like an all-nighter, and I booked a tour to Girona, right, to go to the Roca Brothers. Right? This was late August, and I didn't realize this. So I get to Girona. I was like sort of hungover, days because I hadn't slept. And I get to Girona, and everybody walks to Old Town Girona, which is absolutely beautiful. They actually filmed some of Game of Thrones there because it's like medieval. Yeah. They have this majestic church, and it's like super, super nice. So imagine we get to like the entrance of Old Town, and everybody heads into Old Town, and I head the other direction, just walking to the restaurant, right? And it was probably like a 25-minute walk. And I had my resume in my hand, and I get there, and I'm like, fuck. It's closed.
Oh, no.
Because they're on vacation.
Yeah.
So I was like, of course they're on vacation. So obviously I knocked, I looked around, I kind of hanged out, I took a picture, and I was like, okay, this is what it's about. I kind of I saw the neighborhood, I knew a little bit of the history, so I was like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. So I went back, and it's like, fine. Fast forward a couple months, I go back to working. I'm in Scottsdale, still working for Marriott at the Westin, huge resort. And then the Roca Brothers were doing a world tour through a bank, BBVA, and one of their stops was in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I was like, they were going to be at the Four Seasons. So I was like, okay, is it the Four Seasons? Yeah, Four Seasons, I think. And I went to my executive chef and was like, whatever. They're looking for stages. They're looking for whatever. I need to be there. He's like, let me see what I can do. Food and beverage manager. He was also like in the Chamber of Commerce. He tried getting me in. It's like, hey, they're not taking any stages. They have the help they need. It is what it is. So I was like, fine. Like, last thing I could do is like probably just go get a picture. You know, if I meet him, I meet him. If I don't, I don't. But I knew Juan was the executive chef and you know the leader of the pack. So. When I went there, I went the first day, and I just sat at the lobby, and I kind of like specced out, see if I could see them. I wasn't like necessarily stalking them, but I was just sort of. But I knew where they were, but you know, like I just wanted to meet them. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of weird when you get one of the best chefs in the world in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right?
Yeah, you have to take your
what are the fucking odds? You know, that they're there, and. I just sat there, and then I left at first. I was depleted. I did see Josep and Jordi, but I was like, I mean, they're in charge of different departments. I didn't really understand the dynamic, so it is what it is. I was like, okay. So I left, and then came back the next day, and I was there probably like for an hour, and I didn't really see them. I knew they were cooking later that night, and as I was walking out, I see Joanne come in. And I just approached him. He's like, hi, Joanne. And it's like, hi. And it's like, hey, can I get a picture with you? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Super friendly. I didn't expect them to be there. You know, you have that perception that chefs are like, you know, these assholes or whatever and snobby. And no, he was super friendly. And he's like, yeah. And I told him, hey, you know, like I'm a cook. And he's like, oh, cool. You know, it's a great profession. How do you feel? I was like, oh, you know, great. Like, hey, actually, I've been to your restaurant. And then he's like, really? When? And I was like, well, I've been, but I haven't dined.
I've been outside your restaurant.
Yeah, I've been outside. He's like, when? I was like, I came in there and talking. He's like, oh, yeah, we were on vacation. Da, 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 da. And then I told him, like, hey, the reason I approach you is because, like, I'd like to apply for a job. And he's like, do you have your resume on you? I was like, yeah. And this was like, we were probably chatting for like 20, 30 minutes just about randomly about cooking. And he looked at my resume. He's like, okay, I'm going to take this with me. Email me, and I'll see you in Spain.
Wow.
So he gave me the job on the spot. It was a stage. It was an internship. And I was like, wow, like I did it. However, it did take me a year and a half to get to Spain after that point because the visa process was so lengthy. And
what a cool thing, though, that they were like, that the offer extended just until you were able to get there.
Yeah. So it was a lot of back and forth, like obviously I wasn't working with him directly. They have a person in contact.
Right.
But it's crazy. Like when you go to the embassy in the embassy in Los Angeles, actually like right outside of Beverly Hills, like they request like 2 years of finance. I mean, I don't know what the regulations are nowadays, but back then it was like 2 years of financial records, like X amount of money in the bank. You had to have like a Spanish health insurance.
Wow.
I mean, I think they just don't want you to be a liability to the state, right? So they actually had to have like national FBI records, like criminal background checks.
Oh my God.
It's a lot. Like the whole process probably cost me like $3,500 just getting all the paperwork. And then you have to get everything translated to Spanish. Right? So you have like this file that you have to show up to the embassy in Los Angeles. And what helped me was that obviously when I got there, they open the file, they see the offer letter, and they're like, oh, Roca, obviously they know. It's like, he's like, welcome to Spain, So he immediately gave them to me like that, which was a huge weight off my shoulders. But I was in the twilight zone. I didn't really know. And, I had this like ambition, but at the same time I was just a California kid, and the reason I say that and turn into perspective was because when I got to Spain and it was like the orientation day, like I just look around, there's this whole bunch of like Spanish kids, and they're coming from other world best restaurants, like there were people from Brazil coming from like Dom, there were like people coming from Noma, like, and I was like, fuck, like what the fuck did I get myself into, so can we cuss here? All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, like it was crazy. Also, like because of where I was coming from, I was coming from Calexico. Like, I had to search my own opportunities.
It's not just a California situation. It's not like LA. It's you were in LA for a little bit. Like where we were raised, it very much is, which I actually think is a really cool theme about like you, and also kind of what we do here in the restaurant, and like especially with like the team that you've built. All of us, including kitchen staff, are kind of, we're all go-getters. We all are like, okay, we need to go find our own opportunities. And then we hopefully come back and we pay that forward. But like, there is a lot of, when you are a chef that I've noticed, a lot of like kind of, chef is from Calexico, they're bulldogs. It is a lot of bulldogging. It's a lot of like, let me go and let me bite and like dog with a bone, and then you get humbled. And then you do it all over again.
It's a cycle, and it's really addictive too, because like you
feel like you are always learning.
Yeah, you're definitely always learning at any level, at any point in time in a kitchen. You're always learning. God, now we're learning about marketing. I had no idea through you, so. We're learning about podcasting. We're learning all these things that I didn't even know were important to the success of a restaurant, right? So we're learning, and we definitely don't know everything, but we're trying to figure it out. That's what's important, and I think that it's very important to be a go-getter, regardless of the field that you're in, because the opportunities are out there, and let's be real, like not of all these professions you're going to become a millionaire.
No.
You're not going to make $100,000 a year right off the bat. But the personal like satisfaction, the peace that it gives you with yourself, that you're driving yourself, that you're using your own hands to produce something that's so fulfilling, and then you start working with other people that are just at the same frequency and they have the same passion for things. And also, we don't like to take into, well, we like to take into consideration, like, let's be real, all cooks, we eat in the kitchen. Like, that's just what we do. Yeah. You know, like, we're going to do it regardless of whatever. We eat in the kitchen, so we have a free meal, you know? Like, we have a limited resource of caffeine, like coffee. Like, it's just there, you know? I mean, I don't drink so much soda anymore unless it's Coke Zero, but you have a limited resource, right? Yeah. If you were to be in admin work, whatever, you would probably have to step away to the 7-Eleven or the grocery store and pick up something or take your own lunch, right? We don't. But what I'm trying to say with that, it builds this like internal community within the cooks and stuff that they become like, you really create these like lifelong bonds, and then you remember like, oh, this is where we were at, Ray, remember this. And then I love how we kind of like support each other in a lot of ways, and then it just becomes an extension of your family. Like that's what it comes down to. But yeah, then going back to, let's see, Spain. So I started like a whole bunch of cooks just coming out of a whole bunch of places, and I'm this guy, and I mean, I didn't notice it at that time, but and I kind of feel overwhelmed. But one thing that happened, okay, so it's not that I dislike pastry. I really like pastry. I love eating it. Yeah. But the whole process behind pastry, it could be very meticulous. It gets really time consuming. Yeah. Like by the time you start something and get the results, it could be a day in between, et cetera, et cetera. If you're making a gelato, like you have to heat up the cream, you know, infuse it, da-da-da-da. By the time you run it and churn it, da-da, and then you have to see it the next day, right? So it's not something you get in the spot and you're tasting, right? Or even with a cake. It's not like an
instant gratification thing.
No, not so, like nothing at all. However, they put me in the pastry department. And here I am, like I'm loaded with freaking, I'm loaded with freaking knives. Yeah. I'm loading with.
I was just gonna say, you have your like knife roll, and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah. And I was like, I have all my nice Japanese knives, and I was like, holy fucking shit! Like, well, okay, let's go. And I suffered. I kid you not. Like it was bad. Like I was effing up left and right, and it wasn't my realm, it wasn't my space, but I was trying to learn. I was the first one there, the last one out. And then what did save me was they call it La Masilla, but it's essentially like an R&D sort of like library / like
test kitchen situation.
Like it's a whole bunch of stuff, right? But they also had a library, and I love to read, so I would go there every day, and then I would just like go through books, and then I found a book by Sebastian Rouxel, which is called Bouchon Bakery by Thomas Keller, right? And his pastry chef, right? So honestly, like that book saved me, because it wasn't just the recipes, but it has so much insight within it, and so much powerful, like, hey, you need to sift this and do that. So it's very, very insightful. So that gave me the groundwork and the confidence to keep pushing forward. And I remember going to Nacho. He was like the chef de cuisine at the time. It's like, hey, put me in hot side, Even the pastry chef probably got fed up with me and be like, put this guy in hot side, you know?
Get him out of here.
Yeah, get him the fuck out of here. Like, he's fucking everything up. But that's just the reality of things. It wasn't in my comfort zone, but it did teach me a lot of things, right? It put a lot of things into perspective, but I was miserable. I was getting yelled at left and right. Like, it was what it was. And then let's see, what was it? Oh, yeah. So they provide housing, and they have a whole building, right? Wow. So it's like a dorm, essentially, right? So
so you went from culinary, like culinary college, and then you did like post-grad. Yeah, essentially. But okay, so we missed that thought. So in order to get to Spain, I had to go in as a student. And so there was a certification or a diploma program through the University of Barcelona, and that was the only way I was able to get into the country. Wow. Through this like program, right? So I would go to school
classes Mondays, and then off Sundays, classes on Mondays, and then Tuesday to Saturday we would do full service, right? Lunch and dinner every day. And so that was part of the whole thing. And like I said, going to the dorms, the first floor of the main building was called Bunki, which essentially, like, it was a fucking rave house. It was disaster. Like, the HR manager fucking hated us because we were just so. Fun fact, like, I'm coming from California into Spain to Girona, and we had a huge like dining table, but the material was more similar to like a ping pong table. And what they were doing was like playing. So they bought like a small net, and we would play ping pong. But I was like, guys,
we're supposed to eat on this.
No. Beer pong.
Oh my God, Chef.
So you name it, like we were just like playing beer pong and throwing parties on Saturday nights, and it was wild, but it was fun. And it was a disaster. I think it was like 10 guys in that room.
Good God.
So you can only imagine like
I can only imagine what it smelled like.
It wasn't that bad. They made us clean. And actually like they made us clean. Like it was bad, but it wasn't horrible.
Okay.
Like, it was livable, you know? And it was just crazy, and people smoking weed, drinking, like, it was a bunch of stuff, but it was definitely fun. So, let's see. So I created these bonds, and all my roommates were on hot side, right? Whether they were in prep or they were in fish station, meat station. I was like, fuck.
I was like, I want to be with my friends.
I know, but it was part of the process, but in the time we're just being selfish, and you're like, oh, this is what I want, and it seems like a tantrum. But what did end up happening, like whenever I would try to finish my pastry as much as possible, and I think I got a really good hand of the gelatos because like, I was doing gelatos daily, and then we did like, some small like chocolate work and appetizers. Like we do a couple of the savory stuff on them for the rest of the station. So like I got a good handle of all that, and when I was done, the pastry chef would be like, okay, go help him out. And I was like, fuck it. Like, and I was like a rocket. Like, as soon as I was like bringing out my knife, chopping garlic, whatever, do this, do that, I didn't care. Like, I was just happy to be there. So I was there for like, I was probably there for like 4 months. But what did end up happening after that, it was quick because I started in our derb station, then I took the lead on that, and then right after that, I went into meat station, which was like everyone wanted to be the station, right? Because it was like Joan, it was Nacho, and then which he would see every damn plate, and then
meat.
It was me, right? So like I was plating right in front of him. I was getting to interact. I got the flow of service. I was seeing everything. It was like first row at the best show, right? Every day. So and then eventually, like, oh, you're the favorite. Nacho just loves you so much. Like, I would get all these comments.
The golden child.
Yeah, the golden child. But no, I just had a good relationship with him. It wasn't anything. Like, it was just based off, like, drive,
Drive and skill.
But, like, it was funny because I was like, here's this kid from California, like, running circles around all these Spanish cooks, And it wasn't that I knew everything, but I think I had enough fundamentals in order to be at their level, right? It wasn't that I knew every damn recipe. I didn't know every damn technique. Like, there's some guys out there that are still cooking and already have Michelin stars, right? But they were my friends, and I remember them coming to me for advice, like, hey, what should I do here? But it's because I had the structure coming from hotels and high-end restaurants. Like, I had a solid structure, and they were still trying to figure things out, and vice versa. I didn't know what they knew and the intricate things of, like, Spanish or Catalan cuisine. They had that. So we both balanced off each other. And, there were some points where definitely, like, I wanted to break, and it was definitely a lot. But it exposed me to so much, and I know I earned the respect of a lot of people out there, and I know that they earn my respect as well. And maybe right now we're complete different continents, and I haven't really seen them in years, but I know at some point, we're going to connect again, and it's going to be at a different, we're going to be at a different rate, and it's just not a different rate, but just like a different skill level. And then we're going to be able to go back and like, hey, we started here, you know, like we still look at pictures and in retrospect, and it's like, oh wow, like this is our group, and where are they at, you know? And a lot of them are already like chef de cuisines at 2-star Michelin rated restaurants, you know. So it's cool that we gave birth to something, and ideally that's what it transforms here. Like I would want 1905 to be the birth. Like we planted the seed, we're nurturing it, we're watering it, and then eventually, like, you know, we spread. And then whenever the cooks are ready to become CDCs, like, and they become like, even if it's a taco shop, like even if it's they decide to open their own bakery or whatever it might be, like it started here. You know, it started in 1905, and it's a lot to dissect, and it's right now that we're talking about it, like comparing my career to like what we're trying to do in the Imperial Valley. But as much as I can do from my point of view and support and giving back to the community, like there's no reason not to, you know. We're working with kids, we're working with the schools, we're working literally from kindergarten to seniors, 12th graders, you know.
We do like cooking classes and stuff here, and we've got people who are literal seniors, literally in their 60s and 70s that come and they learn, and they do amazing things here, and they really love it. And I think that's one thing that I'm most proud of, to be able to work here, even though, like, I'm not in the kitchen, but I am doing marketing and stuff, and I just love being able to let people know that you're here and that that's what we're doing. So
it's really fulfilling to be in this position and be able to give back and have the support of the community. I kept telling, as I was going through the hiring process, I was like, it gives me more anxiety to open a restaurant hotel in Imperial Valley than it would have in West Hollywood or Beverly Hills, right?
A tourist spot already. This is not.
This is not. Like we have to gain the community's trust, and like you've said, we have to also educate ourselves and educate them on what we're doing and who we are. But also, it was like the Imperial Valley's ruthless, you know? Like, and I've heard plenty of comments like, oh, I'll give you guys a couple months and you guys are going to close the doors down. Oh, I'll give you, you know, this. And then just a lot of negative light. It was, to be fair, it was more positive than negative. But,
but the negative things really do stick to you more than the positive ones. And we've touched on this. It's like, yes, we've had our slow times and we're still learning because we've only been almost open for a year. But we're learning the trends and this kind of forecast, and us also to be able to identify the community events. When are people out? When are people in? When are people leaving? And when are people here? So we're learning all the ups and downs, and we're learning from the community. However, if somebody would have told me that this was going to happen in Imperial Valley 10, 15, 20 years ago, we would have been like,
no, hell no. You know, like,
good luck.
Yeah, and then, you know, it's also important to note that we're very thankful with our ownership group.
They're super understanding.
Yeah, they're super understanding of the whole situation. They want the best for the Imperial Valley.
Absolutely.
The development that's coming, the projects that we have. Like, I hope that this really flourishes so we can have more. We can hopefully have more outlets. It's not just 1905, but maybe in the future a pizzeria or whatever, a taco shop. It doesn't matter. A coffee shop, whatever it might be. But
we are definitely just here to serve.
Exactly.
For sure. And I think a lot of people don't realize, especially because you do have experience opening hotels. You've opened multiple ones. You've opened multiple hotel restaurants. But like, I would say from what I know of your experience, this specific space, we're in the Wild West.
Yeah. That's the best way to put it. We're definitely in the Wild West.
We're just like, okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, the previous property that I opened was also in the Wild West. However, it's just different. We wouldn't be anything without the community, right? Like that's, let's just be clear. Without the community, we wouldn't be anything.
Totally.
Yeah, we have a hotel above us, but ultimately 90% of the seats get filled by
locals.
Yeah. And
And I think that was your goal, right?
Yeah. That was always the goal. It was always the goal. Like, yeah, as much as we want to serve our hotel guests and we're here for them, that's only a very small portion of the market that's out here. You know?
And they come and then they go.
Yeah.
The locals are here until most of them till they die.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a lot there in regards to the locals, and we knew that even with the menu design and what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, we wanted it for sure to be different. But to put things into perspective, none of this existed. You know, maybe the building was here, but other than that, the building was here stagnated for God knows years, right?
And it was barely here. It wasn't even fully developed on the inside and everything. So I think that some people come in at a blank slate when they start a business, and it's good. And we actually came in, well, you guys, I wasn't here, but like you guys came in with more than a blank slate, which might be harder.
Yeah. The reason it was so hard, it was because, not that we didn't have a sense of direction, but it was like, we didn't have any foundation.
Yeah, you can only have so much direction when it's never been done before.
Exactly, yeah. We didn't have a foundation. Like, I knew what was going to be, I knew what a kitchen should feel like. Right. I knew what the energy, I knew what the cooks, I knew what the team, I knew the structure of a kitchen. But the structure of the dining room, when we walked in here, there was nothing. It was just cement. It was just walls and cement, you know? So picking the plateware, like working with purveyors, timelines, and it's just a lot of moving pieces. Like, it's like an extremely hard puzzle. Let's call it, like, I don't know, like 1,000 pieces, but those pieces are constantly moving. So you're like moving something.
Tetris.
It's Tetris, at like maximum level, you know?
Chef, I just want to know, like, if there's anything that you want people to know about, like, your mission just as a chef everywhere that you've been, what is your kind of North Star? Like, what are you always trying to accomplish no matter what you do?
Well, Michelin-star.
Your North Star is a Michelin-star?
You know, I have this idea of a tattoo, right? I want to get the outline of a Michelin-star.
Oh, and then when you get it,
I'm going to fill it in, right? I know we're a long way from it. I don't know when and where it's going to happen, but I feel like with the direction that I'm taking, and I think it has a lot of potential. I think I've developed, if not networks, that we can make it happen. Whether fingers crossed it's here at some point. How
crazy if we had a Michelin star.
It'd be
in the valley.
Bananas, yeah. It'd be crazy. But, a lifelong dream of mine was to bring the first Michelin star to Valle de Guadalupe. But that got accomplished years ago. So that's out of sort. But it's like, why not? Let's bring it to the Imperial Valley. But, whether it's at 1905 or at some, we decide to give our ownership group a bone and be like, hey guys, let's open another thing. It's like more intimate or something, like why not? But no, just to simplify things, it's just to give back to the community. It's about community. It's about family. It's about our history. It's also about exposing us to the world that, hey, we are here in Imperial Valley. We do freaking exist, we keep to be forgotten, and most people just drive right past us, whether they're coming from the north or the east or the west, but most people just drive through us, and we
want to be a destination and not a pit stop.
Exactly. And it's also about the team that we have. I really want them to build upon this wonderful career. I think that we've opened a field. We did have a need for cooks, right, in the Imperial Valley. That's, there's restaurants everywhere, but also a path where we started from here, and then they eventually branch off, and they learn enough here that they can branch off and either start their own business or become the CDCs of whatever. It could be tempo, they become the kitchen supervisor there or whatever it might be. But I really would want this to flourish. And so we've had small wins, and I understand it's a very long timeline for that. But we have to start somewhere. So we're starting here, and I'm grateful for all the support from the Imperial Valley. I'm grateful for the support of my team, ownership. So there's a lot of gratitude in all this. I think that's the best way to wrap it up. It's
Yeah.
like gratitude. You know, the other message is like, be patient with us. We're still learning.
Yeah.
You know, we're not an Applebee's. We're not corporate.
We're just kids.
We're just kids. Yeah. You know, we're definitely just kids. And
We're just kids who love food.
yeah. And we're having fun. Don't get me wrong. But we need to have that fun in order to survive. Do the hard stuff, because like we're doing the hard stuff for everyone else. And, you know, come on in, enjoy yourselves.
Come find one of us.
Yeah, come find one of us. Don't say hi. We're happy to talk to you, even though we can look busy at times. But we want to get to know more people here in the Imperial Valley. I left for 15 years, so there's a lot of familiar faces that I haven't really connected to the names yet. But I'd love to see like who's who, and I know people here in the Valley, oh, do you remember such and such person? I'm like, I'm sorry, no, but if I see a picture, maybe. But long story short, it's like we really want to build this community. We really want to like amp up this restaurant, and you know, we would really want to have the opportunity to be one of the destinations for Imperial Valley for whatever celebration or just date
Tuesday
night or whatever. Yeah, Tuesday, whatever, happy hour, you know. And then hopefully we can grow from this, and hopefully this gives us enough opportunities to expand and bring more food culture and more of a food scene to Imperial Valley. Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Chef.
All right,
thank you for being with us. We're going to close it out, but obviously come check us out. We're at 1905. We're inside the Cambria and Imperial. We're open pretty much every day for dinner, and then depending on what season it is, we're probably open in the daytime too.
Yep.
We've got a lot of cool events. Chef is at all of them. We force him to be there, and he loves it. But we will see you in the next podcast, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.